New on Curiosity Stream. She was a loving wife, a devoted mother. She also stole atomic secrets and gave them to the Soviets. Meet the woman whose deception kick-started the Cold War on the spy who stole the atom bomb. And
what if they catch you?
Then I shall be shot.
They're coming! Come back!
relive history's most death-defying escapes. It's Impossible Escapes, Civil War. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit curiositystream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Hey, Ola, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
Unfortunately, what you're about to hear is real. The members of this radio program are simply not that bright, or what some people would call educated. They are merely stupid. They're not trying to offend anyone on purpose. And all have played doctors on TV. You have been warned and are cordially invited to join the party. This is the Men's Room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The trippers, the grasshoppers, the hip ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. You know what they say, shake your radio more than 3 times, and you're playing with it. You're listening to the Men's Room.
And away we go. Welcome to Season 16, Episode number 3415. Along with Steve the Thrill Hill, 3 Chet Smith, and my cock, and 2 are the Men's Room. On tap today, our 50th anniversary week continues with Ryan Castle, he will join us once again from his basement studio bar, and we will sit and spin. We'll feel that Valentine love in the air with the 10 biggest love songs of all time. We will play Profile This, plus headlines, Men's Room Shout of the Day, fun with listener emails, and everyone's favorite, TV Time with Ted.
Click, clack, driggity, John.
All right, here we go as we head down under where 6-car pileup ends with a koala bear behind the wheel. We head to England where a 12-year-old boy ends up in the hospital after swallowing 54 magnets as his meal. Florida man throws rock through a window at Wendy's because they stopped serving Cinnabon rolls. We head to Wisconsin where making snow out of beer was one of their goals. And a New York corrections officer finds a weapon on an inmate hidden in his nostril. That is all coming on today's very special episode of The Men's Room.
And now, here's the question.
Hola, bitches. Good day to you and yours. All right, no one wants to go to the hospital, but if you do have to go to the hospital, you at least hope it's not for something stupid. Well, that's where we enter in Tessica Brown. She's last Friday's shot of the day and the current national laughingstock. She's the woman who intentionally put Gorilla Glue in her hair so that she could keep her hairstyle. Well, she can't get the glue out of her hair because it's Gorilla Glue. And now she plans on suing Gorilla Glue because Gorilla Glue didn't make her smarter. Then there's the guy who had to go to the hospital after he accidentally swallowed one of his wireless earbuds in his sleep. Had one in each ear, fell asleep, woke up the next morning, couldn't find one of them, didn't worry about it. Then he realized he couldn't swallow any water. And he started getting more uncomfortable. Went to the hospital and they said, oh, you got an earbud stuck in your esophagus. And then Miles, as you mentioned, a kid in the UK, 12 years old, he had a 6-hour surgery to remove 54 magnets that he swallowed. He swallowed them on purpose. His goal, and I'm not making this up, his goal was to see how they'd look when he pooped them out. But instead, they clung together in his guts. But it's a good thing that hospitals and doctors exist because, let's face it, as a species, we really like doing dumb things. I mean, hell, who hasn't heard hold my beer right before old Ernie had to go to the hospital for whatever it was you were holding his beer for? And even when we don't do something dumb, sometimes dumb things just happen to us. Either way, when you need medical attention, there is a point where you have to explain how what happened. And that can be humiliating. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today with today's question. Good or bad, but probably bad. What did you have to explain to the doctor?
Be a part of the Big Show. Call 206-421-ROCK. Like the Men's Room on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Men's Room Live. And send those emails to the Men's Room at KISW.com.
New on Curiosity Stream.
Just because it hasn't been done before doesn't mean you can't.
Watch Earth's greatest minds forge our path to a better tomorrow. It's engineering the future. And Jaws, Star Wars, The Godfather, E.T. The biggest movies have even bigger music. From King Kong to The Dark Knight. See how musicians scored Hollywood's greatest hits on great film composers' music of the movies. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit curiositystream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Well, great balls of fire, Bubba.
What happened, Buford?
That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop on Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted.
Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those side busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
The shenanigans continue. This is the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
On the tall tan, away we go. Welcome to season 16, episode number 3415. What a large and a charge program we have for you today. Guaranteed future repeat as our 50th anniversary week continues. As we roll into Friday, Ryan Castle is going to join us from his basement studio bar. Once again, we will sit and spin. It is going to be a busy weekend. Not only are we celebrating our 50th anniversary week, but then from there, you got to remember that on Monday is President's Day.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And don't forget on Sunday, it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So today, in honor of Valentine's Day, the 10 biggest love songs of all time.
Yay.
We are going to feel the love with Ryan Castle on Sit and Spin.
We always do.
Yeah. If you're thinking about making a mixtape, you can just take all these songs and just put them all together there, and who knows, maybe you'll get lucky.
You know what? That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a terrible idea, but still, it's worth a try.
Right.
Baby, I made you a mixtape.
Yeah, so Ryan's joining us. We will sit and spin, and we're going to talk about going to the doctor today. And sometimes you end up going to the hospital, the doctor, and it's not really something that you want to bring up. I think every single person that we've had so far on interior decorating.
Yeah, nobody wanted to explain that.
On Profile This is at a very difficult time explaining that a turtle was inside of them or whatever it is.
A woman had a turtle in her vagina.
Yeah.
And she says she doesn't, but they said, look, man, that might be a sign of an assault. Do you want the police involved? Even then, she's like, no. Right. I don't want to investigate this. I didn't want to tell you. Like, if you go to the hospital, it sounds bad. If you go there, you hope it's because you broke your leg skiing, right?
Yeah.
Or because
something normal.
Something horrible, like I had a heart attack. Listen, man, I put a light bulb in my rectum and I can't get it out. Because at some point you need to, and you can tell them, I sat on the lamp or any of those lies that they come up with. The doctors know. Mm-hmm. You didn't sit on the lamp. Yep. You put it in there.
Yeah. 1,000,000 shot, Doc.
Yes.
Right. 1,000,000 shot.
Sometimes you hurt yourself in the weirdest ways possible, or you inadvertently maybe do something or leave something out that your kid gets a hold of and swallows.
Right, and you got to explain that to the doctor.
You got to explain that to the doctor, and just, I do remember when my child was just learning to crawl and get around and all that stuff, and she had some medical issues, but she was eating fine.
Sure.
She was fed through a tube and everything else, but she was doing great. And then she stopped eating. And so as any parent, you completely what is going on? Why is my kid losing weight? Why isn't she being able to hold food? We go to the doctor. They do I believe it's called, some kind of scope endoscopy. I can't remember the exact.
Maybe.
That might be up the butt. I don't know. You know what I mean? It could be one or the other. But either way, they snake this camera down there to see if her incision, where she had a corrective surgery in her esophagus, is kind of taut and keeping things from going through, like an hourglass, so to speak. Is that happening? They go in there, and the doctor comes out after the surgery, and I don't know what's going on, and he said, I think I found the problem. And he hands me this button. Now, this is a big tortoise kind of button. It's a fat button. It's about the size of a quarter. This was a button that I had lost on my shorts. And they were my favorite shorts. These are shorts I'd wear 3 days a week.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But they didn't have a button on them. So I was like, what the hell happened to my button?
Hey, your kid ate it.
My kid ate the button. And she was fed through those 4 thread holes.
Oh, man.
For whatever time that it took her to swallow the button that it got stuck in there until the time that they pulled it out. Then she was perfectly fine.
Of course. But there was a button in her throat.
Pretty sure I still have the button somewhere. That's one of those I kept. You know, put it in a pill bottle.
Yeah, I'd keep the button, I think.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. But, I mean, if the kids injure themselves, it still reflects on you. My daughter went, she busted the back of her head open, bleeding profusely. She was fine, but she was jumping on my bed, went off the edge, and it was a metal bed frame. So naturally, like any kid, you only hit corners.
Right.
And busted the bed. But even when you tell the doctor, because they're like, all right, it's not as bad as it looks, just a lot of blood. Like, understood. They cleaned it up, and they're like, so what happened? And once you say, well, she's jumping on the bed, like, they mean mug you. And it's like, bro, obviously you don't have kids, but it doesn't matter what we tell them. They still do things. What I'm confident of, and it's proven to be true, she has not jumped on a bed since.
Right.
Like, we had told them 1,000, even earlier that night, like, hey, guys, you need to stop jumping on the bed. One, you're going to mess up. I get very fatherly. You're going to mess up my bug spray. You know how much that costs? But also, you're going to hurt yourself. The kids never believe they're going to hurt themselves. And my son comes running out of the room, explaining the situation. We go in there, and she's a bloody crying mess. And, like, Party's like, God damn it. This is exactly what I was talking about. Now I'm going to go get grief from the doctor about this, too.
Yeah.
Like, I know.
But I think, ultimately, when something involves your genitalia, you're a little bit more on high alert as far as getting to the doctor. You know, like all kinds. You might have pain in your shoulder for a while. You might have like
6 weeks.
Numbing in your mouth, like the tooth is hurting and all this stuff.
4 weeks.
But if something happens downstairs,
There's a bump on my penis. I'm 911.
Absolutely are.
Send an ambulance.
And when I was in school, we had basically what they called the free clinic. Now, it wasn't free. It was part of your tuition.
Right.
But that's where you went if you were a student and you were sick and you had strep throat or whatever the deal was. You went there.
It's college. You had an STD.
That's pretty well.
90% of the people that go there.
Yeah. So at one point in time, we decided to go down to Key West for spring break. All right. So there's like 8 of us. And we go down there and we rent a house and there's like, 4 girls, 4 guys. And we're just losing our mind, having a good time, doing what people do on spring break. And we went to a bar in Key West called Sloppy Joe's.
Sloppy Joe's.
Pretty sure it's called Sloppy Joe's, right? So walk into Sloppy Joe's, it's mayhem. There's people everywhere. They're losing their mind. All these kids from all these different schools. And I look across the room, and there's a guy, and he's got a West Virginia hat on.
All right.
And I'm like, oh, yeah. You know what I mean? So I go over, and I'm like, hey, man, what's up? We're from Morgantown, blah, blah, blah. Start talking to this guy. He's with another couple guys. He met some friends of his from Georgia Tech or wherever the hell they met up and came down. So he's down there with a bunch of friends from high school and college and everything else. So we're partying it up, man, and he's trying to pick up women, and we're
of course he is
working our magic, and all that stuff. And no magic was worked.
I have to say, do you have any magic?
Either way, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, yeah, I did. So get back in about the next weekend. We had been in school for about a week, and it's like on a Thursday or whatever it is, and I'm like, man, something's not right. Something's not right. I know it because I'm burning. Something is not right. So I go to the clinic, right? The clinic, by the way, is packed. And when I say it's packed, it is packed. I mean, it's full of people.
The week after spring break.
All with their head down, all with their hoods up, looking over. You know what I mean? And I look. STD. And I'm like, okay, I see, like, I'm going to make this quiet entrance, And I open the door, and I'm like, oh, my God, there's not a seat in here. And I look over, and there's a seat over in the corner. And right when I turned around to close the door, I hear, Miles! And I'm like, and it's that dude from Key West. Yeah. And he's sitting in there, and he's like, hey! He gives me like a big hug. And I mean, it's this most uncomfortable feeling of everyone looking at you guys like, what'd you get into after Sloppy Joe's? Well, apparently what we got into is we're in here now.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it was just, oh, my God, just being in a doctor's office. And basically, everybody knew. You could hear the snickers. And even though everybody else is probably in the same
Everybody else is there. Everybody else is on the same ship. If your hood is up and you're looking down, it's an STD.
Right. And that's basically what it was. Yeah. A bunch of kids coming back from who knows where. But it was just, I could not believe that my name was called out and yelled from a guy I just met. You know what I mean? 2,000 miles away. Right. Goes to the same school as me. Never saw the guy in my life. I don't even think I ever saw him after that.
That's why he was excited to see you.
Right, exactly. It's just one of those things. What's up? I guess you. Oh no, you did. Yes, you did. Didn't you
burning?
Yes, you did. Oh no way. When? Where? Who? Like that whole deal. And that was basically. We probably weren't too far off of what's going on with us.
STD. Every single person with their hood up, like STD. What do you think you got?
Oh yeah. Where do we go here? I think we go over to England. A man is warning people about using headphones while falling asleep after healthcare workers had to remove a wireless earbud from his esophagus. Brad Gother, who detailed his bizarre experience in a Facebook post, went to bed Monday listening to music. He woke up Tuesday shoveling snow for about an hour. Then he went inside to take a sip of water, but the liquid would not go down, and he had to lean over to drain it out of his throat. Gaither also noticed he was missing one of his 2 wireless earbuds, which he said typically he uses them to fall asleep. Well, his son, believe it or not, suggested to his dad, maybe you swallowed the earbud, which is exactly what an X-ray to local emergency room revealed. The small plastic device was lodged in his lower esophagus. Doctors removed the earbud during an emergency endoscopy. Okay, it was the right term. He said he never experienced anything more than minor discomfort. Still, he cautioned others, do not sleep with your headphones because you never know where they'll end up. It never occurred to me that sleeping with headphones could be a safety hazard. I was really quite lucky.
Only the wireless one.
Yeah. And we got to pass this one on to you just because we were talking about, whether you have tooth pain or you're going to go to the dentist or not.
Well, and I do feel like the one of the most intense pains that you'll deal with the longest probably in your mouth, right?
Oh, yeah.
I've had a toothache for 3 days. And, you need to go to the dentist. And for whatever reason, that seems to be the last thing. But, yeah, we stumbled upon this article today. Ted, everyone listening, just pay attention because this was news to us.
This is news, all right? Believe it or not, your dentist can tell if you've been performing a certain mouth-based act on a gentleman or multiple gentlemen thanks to a specific spot in your mouth.
Really?
Yeah. It sounds like a myth.
Blue on black.
But that's what most people thought when someone on TikTok posted a video about it about a week ago. Quote, just found out the dentist can find out whether someone has given the brain emoji or not. I'm screaming, but it's true. Some dentists and hygienists have posted responses saying, yes, they know when you've been doing that fairly regularly. There's bruising on the soft palate in the roof of your mouth. The bruising isn't harmful, but it's a giveaway. Fortunately, one dentist said, quote, your secret is safe with us. However, if they suspect abuse, there's a situation where if it's so bad, they will get involved, believe it or not.
That's got to be a weird conversation. Like, ma'am, listen, I'm doing a routine check of your mouth. There's some pretty intense bruising in your soft palate. I'm sure she'd be like, I don't know what that means. In other words, is the oral sex consensual?
Right.
And I feel absolutely awful if you say yes. Because now I've overstepped my bounds.
I would believe if they could tell if you've been eating, say, Captain Crunch cereal.
Jeez, dude.
Or, I don't know.
You got hair in your teeth.
French bread pizza. You know what I mean? Like
all the burns on top of your mouth.
Sure. All the scraping, all that stuff. And, of course, with Michael Douglas, you can tell with a guy what he's been up to.
Yeah, because he got throat cancer.
Apparently that was, something where you're just like, this is ridiculous. The most amazing part of that is Michael Douglas goes to the doctor with throat cancer.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that smoked for a number of years. I don't know if he still smokes, probably doesn't anymore based on his diagnosis. But he's also, 25 years younger than his very attractive wife. Older, yeah. She's like 40, he's like 60.
Something like that. Whatever.
65, whatever the deal is. But when this comes out, his diagnosis of having esophageal cancer or whatever it was, he basically just went immediately and threw his wife under the bus.
That's the part that now, first, we did not believe him. It turns out it is true. But the way he said it in the interview is like, yeah, I got diagnosed with throat cancer, and they brought up, is it from all this years of smoking? And this is where we thought, is this guy an idiot? He's like, no, it's from, having oral relations with my wife. And I'm like, oh, my God, you just threw her cancerous vagina. And then we find out a few weeks later, he's telling the truth, which is fine and dandy. But again, as far as releasing information, I just feel like maybe there was a softer way of saying that. I mean, he was straight up like, it's from my wife's vagina.
She didn't care.
He didn't have to give that out.
She didn't care. She didn't say, stop saying that. Or stop doing that. Or anything. She's like, I love you. I'm like, what the hell?
Come get some.
Yeah, exactly. And people don't lie to their doctor about stuff like that. You can't. You have to get if you want to get better, if you want to, be cured of whatever you've got to be honest. That is not true at the dentist. Everybody lies to the dentist.
I floss every day.
Everybody lies to the dentist. Like your teeth don't matter. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of important. You know what I mean? But,
do you floss every day? Oh, of course.
Oh, no.
You brush 3 times, and of course I do.
Yeah.
Everything you
Well, and the
think
dentist knows quicker than anybody.
Right.
They can tell by your grill. As soon as you smile at them, like, you guys should have been here sooner.
Right. Like, I flossed your teeth. It stinks. So our question, good or bad, what did you have to explain to the doctor? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Levi. Welcome to the men's room.
So,
Hola.
basically, my story is I ended up putting my hand through a headlight and ended up getting 12 stitches.
You put your hand through what now?
A headlight.
A headlight.
How did you do that?
Well, you know how when you can, sometimes tap on a headlight and get to work again?
Sure.
It didn't exactly go that way.
So would you punch through it?
Yeah, essentially. So I ended up filleting the skin off my left pinky knuckle at the base of my hand. Basically, when you make a fist, and you got the knuckles right there. I ended up, essentially, I have a horseshoe-shaped scar around that knuckle.
So not the worst in the world, considering the how it looked when you did it.
When it happened, it looked horrible because I thought I got down to the bone.
Now, did the doctors believe you? They believe that you put your hand through a headlight. But if I'm a doctor, I just don't believe that you weren't punching it like in rage or something.
Well, they asked me if I was angry, and I told them, no, I was just trying to get the headlight to turn back on.
Did it turn back on?
No.
Why is a headlight bulb so difficult to replace on a car? I think it'd just be easy enough to go to.
In particular was the old school square glass lens headlight.
I can't believe that thing broke like that.
I know. My boss, it was actually on my work vehicle, and my boss goes, how in the world did you get through that thing?
And again, look at this cheap glass. I swear to God, I wasn't angry. I didn't punch it hard. See, that's the problem. Apparently, and again, I don't remember this, so my parents could be lying to me. But they, I guess when I was a baby, I don't know how old I was, but I was still in a crib. But I would jump up and down on the mattress in the crib, and I propelled myself out of the mattress, basically across the room, smashed my head, I believe, on the dresser on the other side of the room. So my parents are like, we hear this crash. We run into the room. You're crying, and you launched yourself out. You hit your head. They take me to the hospital, and the first time you go, the doctor's kind of like, did you hit your kid over the head with something? They're like, no, man.
Yeah, no, trust me, that's
so
MO.
Here's the problem. Later that same night, and the doctor even made the comment, something to the effect of, well, he won't do that again, chuckle, right? Later that same night, I did it a second time. Smashed my head again in the same place again. So they're like, man, we take your ass back to the hospital. It's the same doctor. And now we're getting mean mugged by all the other doctors, all the nurses, because they don't believe that we're not abusing you. And again, like I said, I'm not old enough to remember, so maybe I was abused. I don't know. My mom said, man, to the point they were about to call CPS. I'm just like, we're not hitting them. So they took me back home, and what my father did, because he's like, look, we're going to go to jail because your stupid-ass son, that being me. So he jerry-rigged the crib where he took the whole thing apart, drilled 4 new holes in it, and basically dropped the entire platform down to the floor. It's like that way you could jump all you wanted to, but you couldn't clear the rails.
You're just going to fall.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not trying to go to jail because your stupid ass can't stand a crib.
And you know what, man? In theory, you really appreciate that, the fact that people are looking out for kids, whether it's a teacher, whether it's a nurse, whether it's a doctor, whatever. But when you get interrogated as the parent.
And you didn't do anything.
And you're just like, why? No. Like, no, that's not how this went
Do you
down.
have anger issues? And by the time they ask you that, you're angry? No, I don't.
Right. It's like, oh, my God. I had that conversation with a couple firemen and an EMT. I'm like, no, she had a seizure. Like, what do you think? I brought that on?
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Apparently so. Good or bad, what did you have to explain to the doctor? 206-421-ROCK.
New on Curiosity Stream, she was a loving wife, a devoted mother. She also stole atomic secrets and gave them to the Soviets. Meet the woman whose deception kick-started the Cold War on the spy who stole the atom bomb. And
what if they catch you?
Then I shall be shot.
They're coming! Come back!
relive history's most death-defying escapes. It's Impossible Escapes, Civil War. Watch now on Curiosity Stream. Annual plans are $20, just $1.67 a month. Visit CuriosityStream.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Oh, fiddlesticks! What, Wilbur? We just got hit and I think my back is all been out of shape.
You gotta talk with those whippersnappers at the Advocates Law Firm. They're the best injury lawyers around.
What? Pipe down, Clarence! Abner's telling me about the lawyers and the advocates. So what happened to you, Abner?
I was walking across the street with the light when some young punk came screeching around the corner. I lost a toe.
What? Shut it, Clarence! If you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
The men's room is in progress. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
50th anniversary week on the Rock. The year-long celebration launches this Friday with a little party here.
That is correct.
Oh, yeah. Celebrating 50 years. We'll be talking to members of Pearl Jam. Guys in Nirvana is supposed to call in. Hell, Soundgarden, you name it. Great Seattle artist, famous Seattleites.
We reached out to Kenny G, have not heard back.
Hopefully he will call in. That would be great to talk to the man, the myth, the legend, Kenny G.
I don't want to talk. I just wanted him to play Songbird in the background while we talk to everyone else.
All kinds of memories from the great Steve Slayton, Mike West, Gary Crow. We're going to hear your stories, too, as we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
That
so
is
you'll
a
be
fact,
sharing your KISW memories. Can't tell you how many times we are out and about and someone will come and say, hey, man, love the show. I actually called in one time. I was the guy that killed a rat with a wiffle ball bat. Right. You're like, oh, yeah, I remember you. And we don't. But we'll be hearing a lot of these stories from you that way before our time and our time as well. It's going to be a great Friday. Brought to you by Palace Law. Join us for our 50th anniversary celebration as our 50th anniversary week rolls on. All right, our question. Good or bad, what did you have to explain to the doctor? 206-421-ROCK.
We're talking about the fact that a lot of times doctors don't believe you, particularly with kids. But in this case, the guy says, Ola Bachelors. I assume he meant Ola Bicholas. I was in the hospital for heart failure, and for at least 2 weeks, every time a nurse or doctor came into my room, they asked me about my cocaine habit. I did not have a cocaine habit. Happy 50th, fellas.
How old was he?
I don't know, but I'm guessing he's young enough that they assume that because he had a heart problem or a heart attack, whatever, heart failure, as it were, tell us about your cocaine habit. And then, here you are, like, I don't have a cocaine habit.
Yeah. Now that we've eliminated
a bad
that.
Heart, but the thing is, they didn't believe him.
Right. But let's just get past this, because I'm being honest with you. I want to find out what's going on in there.
I don't have cocaine. I have a bad heart. Help my heart.
Look, if I could get to this point one way or the other, just it happening naturally, or me doing cocaine, I'd rather take in the cocaine train.
And in fact, it'd be a better explanation. You're less scared.
Right.
Not, hey, I'm 25, I've had heart failure, as opposed to I'm 25, I just do 8 balls all freaking day, I had heart failure. I'm okay with that. You understand, you know what I mean? Not just, no, doc, I'm young and my heart sucks. Like, stop challenging me. I'm scared I'm going to die.
Seems like a lot. 2 weeks.
It does, but that's what he said. Man, everyone that came in, whatever else showed up on his test, were like, yeah, he's a cokehead. Hello, Chelsea. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, gentlemen.
Hola.
Well, basically what happened to me is I sneezed and got 3 stitches.
God,
internally?
No, on my forehead. Actually, I'm the one who sent you guys the Muriel's dip, the chip dip this summer.
Oh, yeah.
And I was actually on my way to a craft show to sell it, and I was rushing, and I opened my car door really quickly right as I sneezed and split my eyebrow open.
Oh, no.
Jeez, man.
And the best part was our neighbor. I called him and said, can you take me to the doctor? And he thought I said my eyeball fell out, not I split my eyebrow. So he was pretty mortified when he showed up. And then he goes, oh, that's nothing.
How's the eyebrow look now?
Oh, it's fine. You can't even tell.
How bad?
I did sell a lot of dip that weekend because the old ladies were asking me what happened. So...
Did you tell them the truth, or did you say, like, someone beat you? Because sympathy goes a long way.
This dip is so good, I was attacked on the way, and they tried to get the dip, but I wouldn't let them.
No, I told them the truth, and I think they felt bad for me and bought more.
It's tough when you...
Yeah, it's not bad.
Help this dumb lady. She sneezes into car doors. Here's some money.
I busted my eyebrow open one time, and it just turns into this giant awning. You look like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You look like
Yeah.
one of those, like Neanderthal dudes that like you grew up with. You know, there's always that one kid who looks like a Neanderthal.
Always.
Yeah, but I mean, that tissue right above your eye, I mean, that's why boxers get it cut open all the time.
All the time. And you try to hit them there.
Yeah.
But it sounds bad if you want to
just-
split it open.
It blows up like you're blowing up a balloon. Man, it's immediate. It's like,
Yeah.
And you can't stop seeing it. Like it's
Right.
constantly in your periphery.
And every time I look at it, back to boxing, when I did it, I just thought to myself, like, cut me, Mick.
Right.
Because I knew if you get cut, it's pretty well going to heal up pretty fast.
But then if you cut too many times, it just gets ripped open.
But then you need
Yeah.
that metal thing that you push and iron it down. You know what I mean? That little metal thing.
Yeah, and you got to put the ointment on.
Right,
Is
exactly.
something cold, hot, room temperature? What?
I think it's supposed to be cold.
That's because I've always watched boxing, love boxing. But right, when a guy just starts getting his face beat in, there's always that dude with that round thing, and he's pressing it on his head. And I'm like, I assume it's cold.
Yeah. You go to the doctor, they put stitches in. You know what I mean? And they tell you to ice it or whatever. You're in a boxing match, they cut you open, put a butterfly bandage on, and send you back out.
Go back out there.
Yeah, maybe some quick clot. Quick clot.
Don't get hit there.
Man, there are some things in the hospital, and I never really noticed, but I got this from my father. I'm in there. I messed up my arm years ago, but I'm in the hospital, and my mom, she's doting over me because she's worried, blah, blah, blah. My father's just kind of wandering around the room. And he looks at me and he goes, look, man, whatever problems you might be having now, and he points to the corner of the room, he goes, be glad they don't have to use that on you. And he just points at the most severe-looking instrument that I've ever seen. We're like, what the hell is that? It's like, it doesn't matter. It's like, as long as they don't have to use it on you. He's like, you're okay. He's like, I don't know what that is. So the doctor finally comes in. My father's like, yeah, about my kid. Seriously, man, what is that thing? And it's the thing if they, open your chest.
All right.
It's that thing that they insert and then crank to keep it open.
Oh, wow.
Dude, and it looks as vicious as what it has to do. I understand its purpose, but we're just looking at it. He goes, seriously, as long as they don't use that on you.
It's like a reverse vice.
Yeah, he's like, don't complain about any goddamn thing. He's like, I don't know what it is, but just be glad.
Well, and I've been on the other end. I've been in that emergency room a couple times, but the one time I had that giant thing growing off my leg.
Yeah.
Other doctors just kept coming in to look at it. And after a while, it kind of scares you.
Well, right, because it's like, is it because it's impressive? Is it because you've never seen this before? Is it because you go, hey, this is the worst case scenario in bed 12 over there? Because they won't tell you.
Oh, no, they did.
What
They're
did they
just
say?
like, I've seen hematomas. I've never seen the one that big. And then, one guy was kind of giggling. I was like, you the doctor? Oh, no. I just had to see it. Right.
And you, and
I don't even work here.
And oftentimes, I don't know what your experience is, but there's a lot of hospitals out there that are obviously teaching hospitals.
Oh, God, yeah.
So-
Do you mind if we bring in 15
Right,
students?
exactly. So I've had that happen. Like the hospital that I went to when I grew up was a teaching hospital. When my daughter would go to appointments at Johns Hopkins, that's a teaching hospital. So anything that was just a little bit off, and my daughter thing that was very unusual. So everybody's coming in. You
But
know
it
what I mean? It's like,
depends
look
what
at
it
this.
is.
Wow, check it out.
I had the thing in my head, and the guy said, hey, do you mind if I bring 7 students? So I don't care, because it's my head. You know what I mean? And I'm like, there's nothing weird. But that thing that was on my ass, if they had asked then, they're like, no, you cannot bring a bunch of students in here so they can look at this weird thing on my ass.
The thing is, though,
my head, fine. Genitalia, no.
At least you're not into some kinky, weird thing that made that happen. That you
Like
had
a
to-
light bulb.
that you had to explain. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Girl's got a good point, though. People looking at a giant bruise growing off your hip or your butt,
Okay.
that's fine. But if I had, warts all over my junk, I'd be like, no.
No,
I don't even want you to see it. I can't believe this happened.
I'm here specifically for the medical treatment. I do not want an audience.
That's a terrible situation to be in. Not that this happened to me, but if it did, all right? So I go to this clinic, all right, and I have to get these things burned off. The way they do it is
Of your junk?
Yes. They,
What are these, warts?
yeah, I'm 21 years old, right?
Ah.
They, it's a father-daughter team.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So the father's the guy taking care of this, and his daughter is the assistant. It's a family practice, all right? So I get in there, and basically they drop this...
It's sort of cold, liquid nitrogen?
it's
kind of
acid,
thing?
basically, right?
Is it the same stuff you use on warts on your feet?
It's more potent.
Okay.
So this is like the industrial strength version of it, where you can get ant spray or something at the grocery store, or you can get an exterminator or something and
Right.
just
This is
kill
the
them all.
exterminator.
This is the exterminator. And when they drop it on there, man, it just... They say, when you start to feel the pain, real pain, it's burning, we have a neutralizer, and then we'll wipe it off, right?
All right.
So it's like this, sss, and you can hear it kind of doing its thing, and all of a sudden you go, ah! When it hits the nerve, because it's gone all the way down and burned the whole thing out.
God.
And then they wipe it off. And then they do that 6 more times.
And is he doing it and she's watching, or is he having his
She's on the
daughter do
wipe,
it?
he's on the drop.
Okay, I need you to wipe his penis. I'll do the drops.
But, the weird thing was, like, you're looking up on the wall, and there's, like, a picture of Jesus, and on the other side there's a cross, and just like, oh, no, I'm going to hell.
I got my warty penis in his daughter's hand.
Good or bad, what did you have to explain to the doctor? 206-421-ROCK.
Somebody here says, oh, my God, I had a hemorrhoid. I went to the doctor. He brought a bunch of other doctors in because they've never seen one so big. Yeah. Talk about embarrassing. Look at the size of his hemorrhoid.
I think it's huge.
Good. Look, come, Jeff, you got to look at this. And Jeff's the janitor. Hello, AJ. Welcome to the men's room.
Gentlemen.
Hola.
So when I was about 2 years old, my dad came home from work, and he was smoking a cigarette after a long, hard day of work in construction, and I went running up to him, and he turned around to give me a hug and put the cigarette out right in my eye.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Put the cigarette out in your eye?
Yes, sir.
And how bad is the damage?
Well, he almost got arrested when they went to the hospital because the person that works for CPS thought for sure that he did it on purpose, and turned out that my mom and grandmother talked him down, and he didn't beat the guy up. But they threw a patch on my eye, and the next day, and the doctor said it would be 100% fine within 24 hours, and within 12 hours, it was perfect.
Oh, okay. Well, you got lucky on that one.
God damn. Yes, again.
How old were you when this happened?
About 2.
2?
Oh, yeah, they definitely thought put a cigarette in your eye.
Right.
Yeah, well, I didn't know perfect height running up, at 2 years old with your hand hanging down with the cigarette out, and turn around, bam, just right in the eye.
That is...
Welcome home.
Do you smoke now?
No, I did for about 15 years, but I quit.
Okay, good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, you don't want to burn anyone's eyes.
Right, that's all you need is a cigarette burn on a kid. Forget it, it's over.
Dude, yeah, you burn a kid with a cigarette. I mean, it's just, right, the biggest accident in the world.
It seems like it's bound to happen, though. Maybe not as much now because everybody smokes outside.
Sure.
But back in the day when people smoked in the house, like my one grandmother, my mom's mom, she smoked, and her sister, she lived with Ellen. She smoked. But they never burned us. But I remember as a kid, cigarettes ending up in my mouth and this and that.
Sure.
There was just cigarettes everywhere.
And you're right. Everyone smoked indoors. I never did get burned, which is good. I didn't want to be, but I could. And you better hope that your kid's in a good mood. Did your father burn you with a cigarette? You know what? Yeah, he did because he didn't live with $20. Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. You guys watch Cake Boss?
I've seen it, but I don't watch it.
Is he the guy in Baltimore? Is he a Baltimore guy? Or is that the
no,
you said that earlier, but I feel like he's New Jersey.
The Baltimore guy was, I can't think of his show now. Ace of Cakes.
Ace of Cakes, okay. Well, Cake Boss star Buddy Valastro, he is recovering after his hand was impaled in a bowling accident at his home. The baker and TV personality shared a photo of himself in the hospital showing his right hand bandaged and in a cast. A representative for him told the EW that the accident happened while he and his family were at home, which is equipped with a bowling alley. There was a malfunction with the bowling pin setter, a common fix in the past, but turned into a terrible accident. After trying to release the bowling pin from the cage mechanism, his right hand became lodged and compressed inside the unit. Unable to remove his hand, he can see an 1.5 inch metal rod slowly and repeatedly impaling his hand 3 times between his ring finger and his middle finger. After 5 minutes, Valastro's 2 teenage sons had to use a reciprocating saw to cut through the metal rod and relieve his father from the machine. He has since undergone 2 surgeries and is now recovering at home after being released from the hospital. They say it's going to be an uphill battle, believe it or not. It's his dominant hand, and he will need prolonged recovery and therapy. All this for trying to get a bowling pin unstuck.
Well,
it's crazy that he had fixed it before, but this time something went wrong.
Something goes wrong. And I know this is terrible. I just feel less sympathetic. And this is unfair, because, look, he has the money. But because it's in his home. You have a bowling alley in your home. And it doesn't make this okay, but just somehow in my mind, you have enough money, you're going to be okay.
Okay.
Right? Johnny works in construction. That happens to his ass. He's out of work. This dude, I'm I know it sucked. I'm sure it hurt. And by the way, next time, you might want to tell your kids to cut the power.
What do you think the difference is between putting a pool in your backyard cost-wise and putting a bowling alley with 2 lanes in your basement? In other words,
you have to have a basement big enough to fit the bowling alley. That's 1. 2, the pool, for the most part, I know it's expensive, but if it's in ground, you dig a hole on your property.
You put in concrete.
The insurance is massive.
The insurance will be massive. And right, your insurance is more for the pool. I get it. But a bowling alley, I don't know, and I have a big enough basement for it, but I feel that to install a bowling alley in my home, for whatever reason, it's just a much different undertaking than just digging a hole.
And I feel like over a couple years, just because I had a friend that had an in-ground pool.
Yeah.
But once it got like a crack in it and stuff, like the amount of money was unbelievable.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know, but I would think the bowling alley up front would be more expensive, but within a few years, it'd be easier to deal with.
And a lot of people buy a two lane, which is basically one alley.
Yeah.
Like they'll go and they'll buy it from an old bowling alley itself.
I mean, I'd love
so
to,
like
man.
Sunset Bowl, when they shut down in Ballard, all that stuff went up for sale.
Mm-hmm.
So you could have an AMF 2-lane with a, ball retriever up the middle.
How much do you think that costs?
That's what I mean. You don't have to dig a hole. You don't have to do all that stuff. You just got to buy the damn thing and make sure it's flat and get it in
But
there.
you also have the electric pin setter, right? Because you're going the whole thing. Ball return, I don't know.
I mean, it's got to
throws,
go
right?
underground, right? I mean, you never see the ball coming back.
I think the biggest part is you just have to have a basement long enough.
Like I said, I got that part.
Well, if you got one
now,
of
I
those
don't have the money to install a bowling alley, so I've got the size, just not the cash.
But you know those McMansions on the East Coast, man. Those basements are like your brothers. It's probably massive. I mean, like
it's ridiculous.
You could play football down there. Good or bad? What did you have to explain to the doctor? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, John. Welcome to the men's room.
What's happening, guys?
Hola.
Hola.
So, John, what did you have to explain
story.
to the doctor there?
I had to explain to the doctor how I ripped the entire tip of my thumb off in a compound bow.
Jesus, man.
Compound bow.
How did you do this?
Well, we were out shooting archery, and it's one of those bows that has the wheels on the top and the bottom.
Uh-huh.
And my wife's bow had a partial malfunction, so I went to go take a look at it. As I set it down, that cam, it stopped rotating, and what it did is it hit this little bolt. That little bolt flung out, and then it continued to rotate. Well, my thumb was right next to it, so it grabbed my thumb and ripped it down through there and tore it off down all the way to the bone and ripped the artery and everything in there.
How much blood and how much pain was involved in this?
A lot. The bad part was that I had to hold my thumb, put the tip of my thumb back onto my finger, hold it with my pointer finger, and then walk a half a mile to the car, then drive myself to the hospital.
What was your wife doing?
She checked out.
Oh, really? So she saw the blood and she could not be of any help to you?
Yep, she's gone.
Okay. Do you bring this up to her like, hey, I ripped the top of my goddamn thumb off, and you didn't do much. You just got, I know it sucks
she felt
for you.
horrible. She felt horrible, but she waited in the waiting room with me for the 2 hours while the nurses decided, it's a minor injury, and then the doctor went.
Seems like she could have drove.
Not.
I mean, something.
Yeah, I feel like she could have drove.
So they were able to reattach it or fix it. Does it look normal now?
It kind of sort of looks normal.
That
the
means
first
no.
doctor looked at it and went, that ain't minor, and called in a specialist. So
What,
then the specialist came in and stitched it all back up.
And this was your wife's bow, right?
Yeah.
What'd you have the compression set at? Like 35, 40?
42 pounds.
Okay. Now I was going to say if it was your bow and you had it 60, 65, like if you had a Darden or something, it'd rip the damn thing through the bone.
Oh no, her bow is just as fast as mine.
Okay, all right. So she's strong like bull.
Do you have but queasy with blood?
Right.
Do you have full feeling in your thumb tip or no?
No, I don't. But I did get to watch her stitch it up, so that was cool.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Never a bad idea to buy one of those triggers just to keep your fingers out of there. You know what I mean? Good or bad? What did you have to explain to the doctor? 206-421-ROCK. We will take a quick break. Come back with more of your calls right after these.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
$20 million, $19 million, $6 million. These are all awards recovered for clients of Phillips Law Firm. To win big, you have to fight big. And Phillips Law has been fighting the too big to fail insurance industry for decades. Not every case will have a multi-million-dollar outcome, but Phillips Law will fight just as hard to recover the outcome you deserve. If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident or on the job, call or click today at 1-800-JUSTICE or visit justiceforyou.com.